All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys ready? It's like the dude and Titus. Let's go! What's going on, everybody? How you doing? The evil genius of professional wrestling, Titus Machiavelli, alongside with tonight that guy in the big box, the big star, and that is Maki Pins.
Riding solo tonight as a dude, but Titus and I are going to get you all recharged for everything we just saw. The first charge after NRW, the titles changed hands. The champions were in the ring tonight, and our heavyweight champion got the surprise of a lifetime one short week after he deals with David Drake. We got a lot to get into tonight.
A lot to get into. Let's talk about you guys here, the RMP faithful. Yeah, this is the confusion of my setup. You guys are here, camera. Your chat is over here. We're going to be doing some adjusting as we're going along. Hey, we got Thor Nelson. We got Hunter Dillon. We got, of course, Queen Vampirus in there. We got a lot of you guys hanging out in chat. Glad to see you guys. It is going to be sort of an abbreviated episode. There's only two of us, when normally we got 4 strong. I've got allergies up the yin-yang, and so we're going to give you the best show we got. But obviously, with the two of us, you know, it's going to be a little shorter. But Marky, definitely it's just less than a week after NRW, the most shocking, historic Rocky Mountain Pro event ever. According to Lucas Bradwell, the first time ever 5 championships turned hands in one night. And to set it straight, Rocky Mountain Pro has 6. So
correct.
Nearly every single championship changed. It's changing direction, change of the guard, change of, you know, the winds of change. You enter your favorite changes, sort of, you know, song lyric, if you will. But we get to see a lot of those champions here tonight, Marky. Quick, you know, what was your expectations going in tonight after what we went through at NRW? I had to tell you, my excitement level was pretty high to see what we were going to see, and I wasn't let down whatsoever.
No, not in the least bit. With so much shocking results coming out of NRW, with so many titles changing hands, and the only one that didn't was the NRW championship itself. And Damon Ace, we're going to hear from him in a little bit of a while this evening. But at this point tonight, there was to expect the unexpected. With so many new champions and so many situations that we kind of find out some of them still really aren't settled. There was a lot of questions after the show that tonight, some of them actually got answered in the center of the ring, and we're going to hit every one of them one by one as we go through the show tonight.
Well, yeah, some of them have been, you know, may have been answered, but then I think tonight we got a whole bunch of new questions. Let's kick it off with our opening match. New RMP Lockettes champion Adrian Mosquera taking on the bizarre Noel. Marky, tell the folks about the match. And break it down.
The bizarre Noel, however, the hyper-aggressive Noel lately that we've seen, and she pulls no punches in this match either. Both women came out like they just funneled a Red Bull 3 seconds ago. As soon as the bell hits, they are slugging it out left and right, bringing the aggression. Adrian Mosquera showing why and how she won that title and how she's going to defend it going forward, taking no prisoners in here. Noel, though, resorts to the hair pulling and some of the stuff to gain her early advantage, but her aggression has been one of the biggest stories in the Lockettes division, along with Lilith and Adrian, and the match that we saw Noel have with Lola the other night on Ignition on the pre-show. I'm telling you, Noel has really hyped up the aggression level, and it kind of cost her tonight. She kind of loses her cool towards the end of the match after a very good beat 'em up Lockettes match. We don't normally see that out of a Lockettes match. Just a good physical, just a beat down kind of match. But Noel kind of loses it and goes to rip that shawl that Adrian likes to wear, that red shawl. And Adrian, I'm telling you, on the spot figured it out that you can rip half of it off, but she still had the handles, uses it as an absolute clothesline machine, takes Noel down for the 1, 2, 3. And Adrian Mosquera, this was non-title, but it was just a good energy, beat 'em up kind of match. The crowd was into it. Everything was cool. Adrian Mosquera wins the match here. First, not necessarily title defense, but first match as the Lockettes champion. Looking really, really good. I got a funny feeling, Titus, we're going to see a good fighting champion out of Adrian Mosquera.
Definitely agree. Lockett's division starting to heat up, it feels like, Marky.
It
That's
really
for
is.
sure.
We got a lot going on here. Where's Lilith? We didn't hear from her this evening. What's going on with Lola? Her aggression level, these two in the ring. I'm telling you, the Lockett's division, somewhere big area to keep your eyes on right now.
Facts for sure. Couple of pre-tapes we heard from some folks here. Why don't you tell the folks about those ones as well?
So we'll get into two championship pre-tapes as we get to right here. Briscoe Crown as the newly minted charged champion, looking to the past to carry on his legacy into the future, brings up Balaam Lynx, brings up Remy D. Watch them defend this title with honor, with passion, with dignity for so very, very long. And he understands, and this is important for such a young man who we've said is wiser beyond his years many, many times. This bracket buster thing, it's over. Like, Briscoe has established himself and he is here as a top contender and a champion. He gives CBD the props, but Briscoe figuring out how to get out of a bull rope match as a winner in a match he's never had before shows amazing XP, wise beyond his years, shows that he still has a couple little tricks that he knows, but then he talks Jason Knoll, and we're going to see that later on tonight for the Charged Championship, where his first match as a champion will be defending it. He gives Jason Knoll a little bit of heat and flack, and Knoll deserves that for what happened kind of with YSL, how that whole thing broke up. We remember that leading into Milestone, and we'll see that match later on tonight. But what I got out of this, Titus, was a very, very confident Briscoe Crown, but also a very, very what's the right word? Not hesitant, but he's keeping his eyes open and the eyes in the back of his head open, making sure, because now he's a mocked man with that championship belt around his waist. And tonight, first opportunity is Jason Knoll. Briscoe Crown, I got to say, I want to see him go. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt as being one of those great charged champions, like we saw Balaam Lynx and Remy D. Do you have anything to say about Briscoe?
I'm working on reestablishing Rumble. I apologize, folks. So, Marky,
take your time.
You're now down to a solo guy.
I got you. Do your thing. We got it covered. So then, after we hear from Briscoe Crown, we hear a very different kind of laid out series of words from the NRW champion, Damon Ace, who was the only champion to retain his title at NRW in a grueling, hard-fought match that ended in a little bit of, not necessarily Damon Ace winning, because there was 50-50 who could win that match. But remember, we saw Damon extend that hand of respect. And in here, Damon uses those words very, very often. And now it's come a long way. We've seen Damon be the guy that didn't care. He was the ender of careers, of worlds, of universes in RMP. We've seen some people have encounters with Damon Ace and never come back. So Damon Ace having this rivalry with Mercury Yaden, it started with respect, he says. It got to a personal place. Look, we've all been in the heat of battle. Every one of us has been in a fight, and one way or the other, it gets personal. And it got very personal. But Damon says that he wants to end this feud, this rivalry, with respect. And he says that now he respects Mercury Yaden more than just about anybody. And it's very surprising words coming from the weapon himself, Damon Ace. If you've been watching RMP over the last couple of years, you know this is a very different Damon Ace that we're dealing with now. And it's almost scarier, the fact that he shows respect to some of these great opponents. Is he serious about it? Is he something that he's playing mind games with people? Because we've seen Damon be elite at playing those mind games with people. But I got to say, all of his actions and all of his words are leading me into a place where Damon Ace has solidified himself as a figurehead, a centerpiece of Rocky Mountain Pro, and that NRW title completely validates all of that. And he's looking to the future now, and he even says straight in his own words, it does not matter who's next. It does not matter who wants to come take their shot. Come take your shot. You will not take this NRW title away from me. And when Damon Ace says words like that, you sit and you listen, and all of his words have that credence, that validation, because it is extremely hard to take something like that away from Damon Ace when he worked so hard and so long to get it. We saw the feud with Yaden for so very, very long. It is going to take almost an act of God to take that title away from him at this moment in time, with the amount of confidence and just unbridled aggression. We call Damon Ace violently intelligent. many, many times. And there are many superstars, okay, in RMP that are violently intelligent. We see Curtis Cole exhibit those tendencies. David Drake exhibits those tendencies. Even Jason Knoll, to an extent, is more violent than anything, but you could tell when his XP comes out that he also has that file in the cabinet up here in there with him. So Damon Ace, somebody to not be messed with at this point in time and to be taken extremely seriously.
All right, I keep getting it unable. Sorry, folks, I cannot get to Rumble. I have had it all set up, and then it just won't connect. It starts to go, and then it doesn't go. So I apologize, folks, for the confusion. I cannot get that to go for whatever reason. Thank you for covering, Marky. Thank you so much.
Got you covered, brother. That's one thing I can do. I can talk. I can talk.
Notice, hey, I resemble that.
Fair. Yes.
Head into a really. I expected to be a little bit more of a fun, lighthearted tag team match, but Smoke and Mirrors may have run into. I don't know what are the words that I'm looking for here, Marky, with La Isla. I mean, they've been sort of in a war until just a few days ago. So a little overly aggressive, maybe in La Isla.
It felt like that carried over, Titus. I think that's 100% accurate in this match here. You know, the fellas, all four of these guys, good friends. We've seen many respect, gestures amongst each other with singles matches with Cushman and Diamond against either one of these La Isla guys, Lynx or Echo Busen. We see it in the beginning again. And I tell you, Smoke and Mirrors, we give Mick Diamond and Cushman credit individually for coming very far in such a short period of time, right? Because we both kind of started seeing these two fellas earlier this year. We're only in August. We're only 8 months in to 20. I say only, but we're 2/3 of the way in. But both of these guys have elevated their games in singles competition so very much. But I think it was almost, Titus, maybe you could speak to this later, the pairing of the two, kind of guys that found a uniqueness about themselves. Are both kind of new, and they pair themselves off in this kind of unique tag team. And I think it's really even elevated that even further. We saw something similar to your starting lineup last year with Kendrick LaRoe and Briscoe Crown, and we see where Briscoe is now.
Well, I think that, sorry to interrupt, but as you bring that up, I immediately think to myself, there's a reason you get a couple of guys who kind of are new. They find that common ground to build a tag team, because J.K. Pop is the very embodiment of that very thing. Two guys who are brothers now, who have found a world in pro wrestling that maybe they wouldn't have by themselves. And I think that's a pattern that maybe you see from a lot of people. And I think that's what reminds me of when I say Smoke and Mirrors.
I have to completely agree with it, man. The singles landscape in RMP is dog eat dog, big time. And Mick and Cushman were having a real hard time getting out there. We saw them on Ignition having hard times, but improving week in and week out. But then they found this kinship with each other. And you know what? Let's try this. Like this might have been something similar to how the conversation went. Let's put this together. Let's learn together in the tag team division, where there are some other tag teams that have done this, and maybe we can learn together for a while in the tag team division. And then something tells me that if they ever broke up, it would be amicable and they would see each other. But I think Smoke and Mirror is off to the right start in Rocky Mountain Pro right now, and they're standing toe-to-toe with some of the biggest tag teams in Rocky Mountain. They're taking losses, but they're standing toe-to-toe, and that was no different tonight with La Isla after the war that they just got done with J.K. Pop, Titus.
I think
we saw what happened on Thursday.
You're absolutely right. They're losing, but they're competitive, and that's the thing that really makes me kind of sit back and go, okay, let me watch a little bit more, because they're competitive, and that's something you want to see at this point. And I think tonight was a good example of being competitive.
And I think that in some of those losses, like they've gotten a little bit of XP out of those losses. And each match we see them, they're a little more cohesive. Good double team moves. We see that they're working on like a double team, like double splashes in the corner where they whip each other in. They have a cool double elbow drop that they've been doing. Echo's hips up to that though. He's got the elbows that busts that up. So then Echo takes, it was a good back and forth match that you may not have expected out of a team that's so cohesive like La Isla, who's been through hell and back in the last 8 months to a year. And then Smoke and Mirrors that kind of just got together in the last few months. But as all the cohesion and as the great tag team match is happening, later in the evening, we kind of see Echo lose it a little tiny bit. He's got Mick in the corner, and the boots are just falling from the Rocky Mountains onto Mick Diamond's chest. And
I think your agent's calling right now.
It's the phone at the bowling alley. I didn't want to just walk away. I apologize for the phone ringing in the background, folks. It'll stop soon enough, I hope. But yeah, no, Balaam Lynx tries to get in, can't get in, has to tag himself in. Echo, I think kind of, Titus, and I think it's fair because we've all been to war in our own games that we play, right? Either in the wrestling ring, us here in the bowling alleys. You go to some of these big events, and there's sometimes
in your backyard playing, one-on-one basketball, you can get pretty competitive too.
Right. Anything like the adrenaline doesn't just wear off kind of like right away. You know what I mean? And it seems as though the aggression and everything, the weight of the JK pop on La Isla, everything that's been on their shoulders over the last while, even though that whole thing has seemed to have come to an end last week in NRW, the feelings, the emotion, the adrenaline kind of doesn't wear off. And I think that's what Echo was. I think they're going to be okay. Yeah. But there was a little bit also, if you remember back at NRW, there was an accidental animality that Echo ate by accident. We thought that was healed up. I think it's just some extra aggression and some, the two fellas, they're going to go out, they're going to go have a beer after this. And I think everything will be fine and we'll see them back ready to go. But La Isla still looking dominant and climbing the ranks in the tag team division.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think they're going to be just fine. As you guys may or not, maybe you don't know, I have played, me and Johnny and Echo and others have played, a lot of Fortnite and Call of Duty together, streaming and on and off stream. And I know Echo pretty well. He's a hot-tempered guy. He's passionate about what he does. But yeah, I think they're going to be just fine as we move forward. I think that it's definitely, there's something to be said for some. You're in combat mode, a little bit different than your average. This was more than just a wrestling match at NRW. It was the culmination of months and months and months of very personal feelings to one another. So it's a little bit different.
Very much so.
But yes, very different, that competitiveness.
It's another one that got very, very personal. Getting screwed out of a title by a low blow and other things, and getting messed around in their number one contenders matches. That feud got very, very personal. So I can understand where Echo's head was at. Maybe it just hasn't all blown away, but we do see a nice sign of respect at the end. The fellas shook hands, and hopefully, like I said, Echo and Balaam kind of go somewhere, go have a beer, sit down, talk it out, get rid of it, and we just keep moving forward because La Isla looking really good.
I'll use a personal example. At Milestone 6, I absolutely lost my mind to Hoodlum and Anaya, who's two people, I don't care who you are, whether you're paying the paycheck or not, you don't mouth off to. And it was just a week or so. We were letting things cool. We're in the height of war ourselves at that point. And you get together and you're like, hey, you know what? This is what everybody wants us to do, is to fight. And then they can leapfrog and move themselves up. They're going to be just fine. They're going to be fine.
I think so. I think so. The fellas have come back from a lot more than this, and this is just a little thing. A little spat, we get past it, and we move on.
All right. Then we had, I thought I couldn't have been happier for my good friend Lucas Bradwell, who got to go have a nice, simple, without stress conversation with Sin Bodhi. The Warlord of Weird. That put a smile on my face. And that's just because I've known Lucas, more than a decade now. So, and he's, so apparently, he had some, what is the words? He had some, he continues to have issues with Damon Ace, Marky.
Yes, he does. And you could see Sin Bodhi, like even after the match with Jason Knoll at NRW, that body slam challenge match, which was really cool, by the way. I love the old school of that match. It was so great. You could see, like, at the end of that match, Sin was kind of jovial and he tried to put her there and everything. And that lack of, when Jason Knoll kind of pushed him away and everything, I don't know if he was still upset with that or if it was just the idea that Damon Ace is, around. That's what Lucas wants to talk about. He talks about Damon Ace. And that kind of turns Sin Bodhi around a little teeny tiny bit. He gives props to Damon Ace and telling him, that the kid's doing the right thing. But he's also never forgotten the times that Damon Ace didn't always do things away. Like, we can remember back to the Wake when he would interfere in all of the Wake matches, when he was knocking out referees from the back of the head, they didn't even see it coming, when he was just coming in and interfering any which way just because he was bigger and meaner and all that stuff. We have seen Damon Ace grow over the last couple of years into this, kind of monster that he is now, but he's actually kind of seemed to control that rage a little better than he used to a couple of years ago. And Bodhi gives him props on that, but still letting him know that, kid, you're still the kid, and I've still been here a little bit of a while longer.
Yeah, and I also, just for a second, and add this to to think, it was actually Damon Ace who actually got the attention of Sin Bodhi a number of weeks ago, a month and a half ago, when he interfered with Mercury Yaden.
That's right. They were having a great match. Yaden and Bodhi was having a great match, and then I think he came out and made Yaden eat a kill shot into the corner and messed up the whole match. I remember Bodhi being pretty pissed off about that. It's obvious it hasn't gone away. That'd be a hell of a match. Like, somebody as unorthodox as Sin Bodhi against a guy that is just straight power, like one of them 12-wheel construction giant dump trucks that could take a building out if it just drove into it, in Damon Ace. That would be a hell of a unique situation, and that'd be something you couldn't count Sin Bodhi out of and say, well, Damon's a champ and he's winning matches like this. Sin Bodhi brings that unorthodox question what you think, because you're never going to get what you think out of a Sin Bodhi. And that might be something that could mess with a Damon Ace. Even though Damon likes to go back to that unbridled power, Sin Bodhi is like complete, not knowing what you're going to get out of him at any point in time. Could be a good equalizer in any kind of match that they would have together. So look forward to that in the future.
Stretch. Marquee Stretch.
Oh, so, but Sin Bodhi, one thing you have to say about Sin Bodhi, since he's come back, he's made an impact, right? Like, he's been around here for a little while. We've seen him have matches against David Drake for the title. We see him have such a unique match, like a body slam match against a Jason Knoll. We see him, like, just in the back doing Sin Bodhi things. Like, what was he doing with that pipe? He was just banging something with a pipe. Like, you never know what you're going to get out of Sin Bodhi. And the other cuckoo part, especially, and I just said cuckoo, I have kids. Like, it alters your vocabulary, I promise you. But Damon Ace is also one of those men who have had unique style matches that nobody has seen before. Remember last year at NRW, we saw that split ring match with actually, I don't know if that was NRW. I think that was earlier this year.
Yeah,
but the split ring match with the chain, that was so unique. Had never seen that kind of match before. The wrestler's trial. And then we saw the Ultimate Endurance is what the match was called at NRW. We've seen Damon Ace perform in situations where you don't know what to expect. And that's what kind of, like, gets my hairs on edge and kind of gets the goosebumps going when I think about Sin Bodhi versus Damon Ace, is that both of these guys have shown immaculate adaptability in matches where they're not quite familiar with either the stipulation or the opponent or both. And I think that's something that both of them going forward would lead into such a unique situation that, like, I kind of wait to see if that ever happens and what they could possibly do with it.
Absolutely. Where is my note? Here we go. Oh God, I'm still not on, guys. I'm still trying to get this set up, because I apologize. We're running out of time to even get it done, but I'm trying. Then we have the main event tonight, when we had the brand new Charge Champion Briscoe crown. Not that champion is one of the hardest championships to keep a hold of, Marky. I mean, he won it less than a week ago, and here he is against Jason Knoll off a pretty impressive, a loss, but a pretty impressive match with Sin Bodhi himself.
Excuse me. But then you get Briscoe Crown, who had such a unique win in that bull rope match. Outsmarted the guy who has had these matches so many times. Just outsmarted him, let him think that he had the advantage, but Briscoe, go back and watch it. It was the coolest thing. He tagged every turnbuckle right behind CBD. So if you're Briscoe Crown, the confidence is high. The adrenaline is high. You are now the charged champion. You are the workhorse guy. You are the main event of the TV show. This is the title named after the flagship show, and you are the man carrying it. Heavy is that head. But we have seen Briscoe Crown come out of these things smelling like a rose almost every single time. And tonight is no exception. Using his head and his quickness again, he's almost never going to be the biggest guy. He's almost never going to be the most powerful guy. But you know what? We have to stop saying those things. And we have to just appreciate Briscoe Crown as the wrestler that he is for being able to come up and take out guys twice his size by using twice the brain power. And he uses it all the time. And then what mass and size he does, when he gets that thing moving off the ropes, forget it. You're not going to catch him. He does a good job against Jason Knoll, not letting him catch him in the beginning, the stick and move thing early. But then Knoll gets a hold of him, Titus, and it's hard. I'm a small guy. And if a big guy ever got a hold of me, it's hard to get the hell out of Dodge.
Oh, yes. That's why stick and move, right?
Right. Like the old school boxes, the way Mick used to tell Rocky, get in there, punch him, and get out of the way. He does a pretty good job of it, but when Knoll gets a hold of you, it just really, really takes down. Big body slam. And Jason Knoll getting up over the top rope on a leg drop. His standing leg drop, like his vertical leap was like up and over. It was really nice. Big dude, he's all power, man. Holding Briscoe down, the chin locks, just putting the body weight on top of him, trying to squeeze the air out of the young man, because the young man can't run if he's got no air in the lungs. But here's the brain power effect. Here is where Briscoe just took a moment and found an opportunity and dead weighted his body. Jason tries to pick him up for the body slam, and in one beautiful swooping motion, Briscoe turns it into like a reverse DDT. Just absolutely gorgeous. Gets to the top rope, going for the big splash, and then that knucklehead panthro comes out and knocks him off the top rope right in front of Ref Alice. Like it wasn't even trying to hide it. No, they're directly in front of Ref. Alice rings the bell exactly how you should, instantaneously. Briscoe Crown winning the title. If Panthro wasn't such a knucklehead, he'd have done something to his own guy and gotten Briscoe disqualified, and then we'd be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
brain power was firmly in effect of the champion this evening, getting out of there with the Charge Championship, with the music playing, the crowd's happy. Successful first title defense for such a young, brand new champion in Briscoe Crown. Glad to see it. The sky is the limit for this kid, Titus.
Yeah, and absolutely. And as Dean, did say a few weeks ago, what we saw at NRW with Briscoe and CBD's the last time we'll see the Charge Championship on pay-per-view.
Yes, sir. Even more weight on Briscoe's shoulders. Not just because he won't be defending it at pay-per-views, but now that is the main event of many, many, many Charge tapings. You better be ready,
as it
man.
always is. But
Correct.
Now it's also, the focus with Supercharged and all of that. So yeah, there's quite a charge forward, shall we say, for him. I wish that was our main event, and I wish, for the most part, that was the end of our show. Unfortunately, we have a guest at the end of the show, the new Rocky Mountain Pro champion, Killer Curtis Cole, graced us with his presence, and Marky, the crowd loved him, did they not?
He's an asshole. This guy just comes out and starts telling everybody whatever he wants. He's going to make everybody's life hell in the locker room, in the audience. I'm telling you, Curtis Cole, there were a lot of people in the crowd that were holding up one finger, letting him know he was number one, but it wasn't the pointer finger. They were letting him know how much of number one they really think he is, man.
Would it be an Austin finger? That's what
It was
would
the
be.
Austin finger. There were several Austin fingers. So there were either a lot of Stone Cold fans in the audience or a lot of people telling Curtis Cole that he was number one in some other different form of hand gesture. We'll leave it there. But through all of this menagerie of verbal diarrhea that we listened come out of our new champion's mouths, which, by the way,
menagerie
I don't
of
like you, Curtis.
verbal diarrhea. I like that.
It was a menagerie of verbal diarrhea. Yes, it was.
I like that.
Thank you. Through all of this, I have to congratulate him for doing what none of us thought would be possible or had thought it was possible for a long time, and beating David Drake and becoming the new Rocky Mountain Pro champion, only the second two-time Rocky Mountain Pro champion. Atiba's the only one that carries that honor, correct?
Yeah, Atiba is the youngest and was the only two-time. So yeah, another sort of historic part of what NRW was.
It was a big deal. It's a big deal. Curtis Cole winning this title for the second time.
But only one person in the history of this company, near 15 years, one person has had that claim. That's a big deal.
It's a very big deal. And we are also graced by the presence of somebody else.
Oh yeah, now this makes it better. This makes it better.
This was the 50-50 of this part. When this book came on TV, I said, really, this is how they're going to end the show? The show's been great. The wrestling has been awesome. And we have to see this knucklehead for the last 10 minutes of the show? Oh, great. Thanks, Curtis. Appreciate it. I was about to turn it off.
Well, yeah, I was like, why would Dean, allow that to happen? But obviously, I think Danger Dean had an ulterior motive, and bravo to president of the company.
Agreed, Dino. Bravo for kind of setting us up for this, because it was beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mile High Magnum, Dak Draper, returns right in front of Curtis Cole, walks right up to him, and just lets him know that it does not matter. Dak is going to change Cole's life in a really, really bad way. After Curtis Cole telling everybody that he's going to make everybody else's life hell, one guy stood up and said it right back to him that he's going to make his life hell. And that kind of probably includes designs on going after and winning that RMP championship and taking it away from Curtis Cole. And he brought that title here. See, now we have two lineages, right? We have the NRW championship and then the Rocky Mountain Pro championship.
Yes.
Dak Draper was the first Rocky Mountain Pro champion.
Hoodlum was the last NRW heavyweight champion before the conversion.
Yes.
So yes, Dak Draper, first official Rocky Mountain Pro champion.
He says he brought that title here. He will take the man who's holding it out of here. Those are very strong words from a man who's been there, done that, and had the T-shirt. Curtis Cole, you put the locker room on notice, and one big man out of the locker room stepped up and put your ugly ass straight on notice. So here we go, folks. This is going to be very interesting going down the line, Curtis Cole and Dak Draper. I am a very big Mile High Magnum fan. This was the perfect time for him to make his reemergence into the Rocky Mountain Pro landscape. After the landscape changed so very much, Titus, just a few short days ago.
Again.
Holy hell. Now it changes even more with the reemergence of Dak freaking Draper.
He gives
Good
me
stuff.
Dak gives me vibes. I don't know what there's something about Dak when he shows up. It feels like it's an attraction. It feels like it's special. Yes. And one thing that I took away from him showing up, though he mentioned the championship, he mentioned it only in the specifics of that he was the first one to carry that new version. Never said he was going to take the championship. He didn't ask for a match. He basically said, "You're on notice. You want to be a D-bag? I'm watching." Good enough for me.
He said he'd give it back to him tenfold.
Tenfold.
And if
not one-fold, two-fold, or eightfold.
No, 10.
10.
If there's a guy that can do it, it is definitely Dak Draper. And if there's a guy that deserves it, 100% right now, it's Curtis Cole. So I'm watching Charged. I'm not missing an episode of Charged, and neither should you, because one of these weeks we are going to see Curtis get exactly what he has been begging for such a very long time.
Yeah, and you know that I think Curtis was given a very big reminder tonight how great it feels to be the Rocky Mountain Pro champion. And I have stood side by side with 3 of them. And then you're reminded quite quickly, less than a week later, there's a gigantic laser beam focused on you. And it's every single person. Every single person dreams to be Rocky Mountain Pro champion. Less than 20 people have. So
over the hundreds that have been in that locker room through the years.
And I think at that moment, Curtis, the honeymoon is officially over. I think as much as he wants to talk his talk, which he does, as much as he wants to, walk the walk, which he does.
You got to give him that much. He talks a lot of shit, but he backs every bit of it up, and that's the give and take.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt whatsoever. But yeah, the honeymoon phase has officially ended for Curtis Cole because there is a giant target on you, and everybody wants a shot. Everybody wants to take a chance at you. And from the tippity top with Dak Draper, former Ring of Honor star, current NWA star, a guy who really was like the first Mercury Pro Wrestling school, which then became Rocky Mountain Pro Academy. Now is the Al Snow Wrestling Academy. First student, first RMP champion, tippity top. That might inspire what? Who else is gonna want to come and remind them who we are? Those are the kind of things you have to kind of, as a champion, always worry about. You got the ones that are in front of you. I know there's Damon Ace, and I know there's Briscoe Crown, and I know that there's Atiba and Bruce Wayans. Oh my gosh, I have to look behind me. Dak Draper returned.
Yep. When you think.
Yeah. So
just when you think that everybody else that might be a threat is like wrapped up in already their own situation or whatever may be going on.
Is Severino Corrente behind him?
Right.
So now you have to look forward and backwards. And I think that's a quick reminder to Curtis that and his last time as champion, that locker room, a lot of those folks liked Curtis. The RMP faithful loved Curtis. It was
a very different man.
Oh, totally different.
Very different man.
He had tons of friends. People, through his whole battle with me and Tyler Stinson, he had people propping him up, helping keep him motivated, and having a friend in, keep him going. He doesn't have a friend in the world in pro wrestling. Zero. None. And he is on an island all by himself, and the Sharks are starting to surround the island already.
But that's his own fault because he sailed his own boat there.
Oh, totally.
He sailed his own boat there. This had nothing to do with anything else other than Curtis Cole's direct actions. This is what happens when you get the grid where when the chart goes up in the F around department, now eventually you hit a level where you find out. And yes, Curtis Cole is now the champion, but he is now at that level on the chart where Dak Draper shows up and you're about to find out, young man. So he talked a lot. It's now time to see if he can walk with Dak.
Curtis, I think that Curtis is, whether inspired by or directly inspired by, it's just, whatever which level it is, by my ways of doing things. The very thing that took the championship away from him in the first place, and that is the attitude of by any means necessary. Doesn't matter what I do, why I do it is the most important thing. Doing that means that you will stab each and every person that's in front of you until you're the lead dog. That's how that works. And he has done it masterfully. Masterfully. But there is a consequence, and I can speak not from the theory of, but from the absolute implementation of that phrase, you will be alone. The best thing you could do, maybe it's, is having people that you pay to be around you. Again, experience speaking. So, and even then, you're not even, Marky, really confident
right now,
that the check's enough.
People around him. Right. That's the only way he'd have anybody around him now, is if he was paying people.
Right.
His own fault. He brought himself here. It got him to the title.
Absolutely.
But again, we've said it many times on this show. Very heavy is the head that wears the crown. And right now, you have walked on everybody's face, body, anything you could do to get there. It is now time to see how you deal with the target on your back.
And that's a tale as old as time. I mean, we're talking biblical type of a tale, in the sense that, he is alone. He is by himself, but he's masterfully done this. He is a genius. I shall tip my hat, one time and one time only.
Right.
But
you got to give him credit on the smarts and the XP.
He
knows how to manipulate.
And he has the in-ring ability to now. It's to hold on to it. Curtis has done something that only one other person has ever done, and that's win a second. I'm reminded, as we're having this conversation, Curtis is on that sweet spot in his career. This is where people pick up championships. This is where they pick up, legacy, honors, and a lot of money. And he is sort of in a pseudo legacy starting to build now. He's been around, for, we're looking closer on 10 years. And the next big thing he can do is be the longest reigning Rocky Mountain Pro champion of all time. And that's, 2 years from now. But Curtis has all he needs to do that, if that is what he would want to do. The only thing is the unpredictable. And it started tonight, unpredictable, with the return of Dak Draper.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing. You can never expect the unexpected. And that was very unexpected tonight. Cole thought he was just going to go out there for a cakewalk. He had one kind of expression on his face when he came out and he was jabbing at the people. But then it was a totally different expression on his face later in the evening when Dak Draper laid it all out there for the kid. So, roller coaster of Curtis Cole's own emotions this evening is just the beginning of what we're going to see coming forward.
Overall impressions of the show tonight, Marky?
It's very happy with how everything went. Good to hear from the champion, and it's good to watch the champion kind of figure out that he's got something coming to him. Impressed with Briscoe, looking great in his first title defense. Adrian and Noel still keeping the Lockettes division forefront in everybody's mind with their aggression, their power. So proud of the kid winning the title for the first time. Damon Ace, as scary as ever, even with this new respectful mindset that he has towards Mercury Aiden and some other superstars. Man, I'm telling you, the landscape changed, but tonight it changed a little bit more. You have to watch. You have to see what's going to happen next. We never know, week to week. Sometimes everything could change. Be here.
Yeah, for sure. I'm left to just going. I think the message from NRW is, anything can happen, and the message is, it can happen. It can happen just the very next episode of television following and having that return. That's some of the fun of Charged, is that you might not get a surprise every single week, because then that wouldn't be a surprise. It would be the status quo. But when you get them, they do tend to get a little shocking in some ways. And we are, I hate talking about the fall and pumpkins and all of that stuff, but we are
not that far away.
We are now moving forward towards our next big pay-per-view event, and that is Shocktober. So if NRW was shocking, tonight was shocking. Is the theme moving forward to October shock for Shocktober? Of course it is. That's why it's called Shocktober. Anything can happen.
Straight, baby.
Chat, anything that you guys have got, would love to hear from you now at this point as we get ready to wrap up. Me and Marky able to hold down the fort for 45 minutes. Marky did the heavy lifting. His back's going to be sore. I weigh a lot, so him carrying me was very, very helpful. Let's take a look here.
I'm stronger than I look for a little guy. I'm a lot stronger than I look. We got it covered, baby.
What did Edge call it? Scrappy.
Scrappy.
You're
tough.
scrappy.
Yeah. Scrappy. That's a good word.
And our generation hates that word for one reason and one reason only. If you don't know, you don't know. Hate that little dog. All right, let's see. I don't know why Jason Knoll aligned himself with Panthro. Panthro screwed Jason royally. I don't care what Jet says. No one cares what Jet says.
None of us do. Yeah.
I think Jason and Panthro have been, of all the people that Jason has, over the last, say, 6 to 12 months, it seems that Panthro has been the one guy that he seems to dislike the least. Does that make sense?
It's about right. They've had their issues, but they keep kind of showing up together. I don't know what that kinship might be behind the curtain, but
maybe Jason's looking
something there.
Jason's looking to break into the Dominican Hollywood market. He's been wrestling 15 years. He might be looking to follow the Rock's path per se and be the
well,
I can't even finish what I was saying there. It's just not even.
I guess everybody has to end up in a movie sometime in the $5 bucket at Walmart. So I guess this is Jason Knoll's turn. He's trying to follow that. I don't know. But if I was Jason, I'd kind of be leaving Panthro away right now because Panthro completely cost Knoll an opportunity to charge title here at the end of the match. So
fair.
Maybe that ends sometime soon. We see those two fight it out.
My uncle, God rest his soul, he would have watched a Panthro movie. He would have found it in the $5 bin at Walmart because that's the kind of movies he liked to watch. Lots of TNA, not the wrestling kind.
No.
And lots of stupid violence, and that's the kind of movie I expect that Panthro makes. Don't you?
Yes, it's honestly like a James Bond kind of bootleg.
I'm thinking like 1983 Commando, but with zero budget and, anyways. Hunter Dillon says the one time, and I saw this during Charged, he repeated it then. The one time I wanted David Drake to break out the body bag. Why didn't you do it, David? I got to tell you what, a very unexpected turn of events there for sure. But, a lot of people have felt that way that, would have loved to have gotten. I mean, even the crowd seemed to cheer. For a little bit, there was a Drake chant.
You noticed that?
I heard that.
It's very strange during that match, but when you go back and you watch and you see how the match was progressing, even myself watching it, like I started to feel almost an ounce of sympathy for David Drake, even after everything he's done and been the monster that he is. I started feeling almost like an ounce of sympathy for the guy, just because of the way Cole was taking it. Tried to rip his eyeballs out with a pair of pliers, Titus.
I saw.
Yeah. We've seen Drake hit people with the pipe and all that stuff, but he's never tried to rip your freaking eyes out with the pair of pliers. So that was like the dividing line for me. That's when I was like, you know what, Drake, just stomp this guy. Yeah. Stomp this guy.
Yeah, it very, very different outcome than I think a lot of people would have expected. Let's see. Danger Dean could be number 3, says Hunter Dillon, when it comes to having a 2-time Rocky Mountain Pro reign. Absolutely. Danger Dean, hence winning the Colorado Cup, is in the main event. Good call there. Dean didn't mention it tonight. No one actually did, but the truth is Danger Dean is the number 1 contender for the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship. He is the play-by-play guy for RMP Charged. He is the president of Rocky Mountain Pro, and I've been called a guy who abused his power. I'm sorry, I got derailed there for a minute. He is going to be taking on Curtis Cole at Shocktober, so he would, if he were able to not only stop Curtis Cole, which I think in some ways is more meaningful now than it would have been if he was trying to stop David Drake, and then become a two-time RMP champion, Marky, as well as the second longest reigning, as his reign just got eclipsed by Dustin Urich.
Yes, it did not long ago. Yeah, so Dean has an immense opportunity to come back. Look, you know, there's people in chat saying it. Jet says it all the time. You just kind of touched on it, of Dean abusing his power. You know, when he was in the Colorado Cup, I refereed the Colorado Cup. Like, I was there. And there was nothing before the match about, listen, give me favoritism, push the other guy out of the way. There was none of that. He went out and legitimately won. People are liking to twist this here and there about Dean having power. He's still an active competitor as well as the president. So when he was made president, that should have been taken into consideration. It apparently wasn't. And now with hindsight, everybody's going back and they're blaming Dean about it. If you got a shot in the Colorado Cup, would you say no? You offered me a shot in the Colorado Cup a few years ago. We didn't say no. You don't say no to that potential opportunity. And Dean did not, and he took advantage of that entire opportunity and earned this title shot as far as I'm concerned. Now, there may be other things that other people have questions about, and we could talk about that another time. But in my opinion and in my visual remembrance of being there, Dean earned this. And this is something that's going to go way back in history. This is not the first time these two guys will have met. All the marbles are going to be on the table. One of the biggest rematches between these two guys in rematch kind of history, right?
I'm going to back you up there. I'm racking my brain, and I don't know if Lucas was in chat tonight or not, but
he was for a little while.
I do not remember a Curtis Cole and Danger Dean feud of any kind.
Is that not a thing? Because they're both been around for an absolute while.
But remember, they were also both very much loved by the fans. For Dean, that hasn't changed in quite a while. For Curtis, it really has changed in the last couple of years. So being both more, you know, I always looked at them, you know, with Yaden, and I said, you know, remember what side of the fandom I used to sit on, and they were some of the guys sitting over there with the fans, and they were, you know, beloved by the fans. So they never. I wish Lucas was here because I don't remember a. Now I can recall triple threats, those type of situations, but a one-on-one feud between the two. I think this will be kind of that alone is going to be historic as far as I can recall.
Now that you've actually, there's Lucas right there. They've had matches, but not an actual like feud per se.
There you are, Lucas.
Which makes complete sense. But this is going to bring maybe some old feelings to the table, maybe some of those kind of old school day one kind of feelings, because these guys have been around for so very, very long. They both have prime positions within RMP. It already is, since we talk about it, it has this big fight feel. Yeah. And the fact that it's going to be for the championship, it could be one of the biggest matches of the year. The biggest question is not, will Cole be ready? Because we know he will at that moment in time. But will Dean be ready for something this big and for a knucklehead as big as Curtis Cole that takes things to wherever he wants to go? Right now, in this moment, as of right now, even though it all just happened, I have to say, and I'm sorry, Dean, if you're listening, brother, you're my dude, but advantage Curtis Cole as of right now.
I was going to say the exact same thing, advantage Curtis Cole. Yeah. I think that Dean is, he's sort of pseudo, you know, laid his boots in the middle of the ring without laying them in there. He's at the end of his soon-to-be, I'm sure, Hall of Fame career.
Deservedly so.
Curtis Cole is at his apex.
Yes.
There's a point there when you've reached your peak, your best, and then you have incremental growth. You're more plateaued, and that's how you've peaked. Curtis is on that. I don't know if it's the peak or the up peak or the down peak, but he's on that echelon where he's at his very best. And after NRW, most violent, most willing to do anything to accomplish his goal. Advantage Cole. Yes. Let's take a look quick here. One more in chat. Abuse of power. I feel like we saw that in 2017 when Dean had a little help. I'm an expert there, RJ, talking about it. My point exactly.
RJ, what's up, dude?
I don't want to get into the whole Halloween's my favorite. I'm not. I started to get social media ads with fall, and we're not getting there yet. Nope, not gonna do it.
I hate pumpkin spice. I like summer. I love fall. Don't get me wrong, but I'm all set with the pumpkin spice. You can keep it.
Lucas says El Santo and Blue Demon, which I don't know, movies are Oscar award winners compared to Panthro flicks. It's got to be just a bad action flick, which that's just my taste.
With the dimes.
Whatever it is that you like is fine. I mean, I'm not judging. I prefer Marvel. Some prefer DC. Some like them both equally. It's all fine by me. But it's not something I think I would watch. Nor I'm sure I could cover the costs in my bank account. That can't be a big budget there. So I think that pretty much there. Yeah, it's time to get ready for it's not time to get ready for Halloween. That is not it. All right, my final thoughts on the show. Loved it. I think that things seem pretty healthy. Marky, thoughts, and we'll close out.
A lot going forward. Questions answered from NRW. Brand new questions asked going in towards the next few weeks as we get closer and closer to Shocktober.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
I'm
here for it.
I'm here for it. Speaking of being here for it, we will be back here hopefully with a little more guns with Coastal on Thursday night, immediately following Rocky Mountain Pro Ignition. Ignition starts 6:15 Mountain Standard Time. Join Lucas Bradwell. Maybe it's Bud Bellflower. Maybe it's Derek Stone. Lucas Bradwell will be there holding it down for some great Rocky Mountain Pro action. I'll be once again sending in for Johnny Deathdrop, and we'll be breaking that down again, hopefully with a little bit more help. But I think we did okay tonight.
I think we did good, brother. We got to take care of business. Absolutely.
And then, of course, back again on Sunday for the RMP Rewind as well. Marky, final word is yours. What? Social media, everywhere, RMP Wrestling. That's how you can find us across all of the social media and rmpwrestling.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're new here, checking us out. That helps out a whole lot. Hit the bell so you know when we go live with our live pro wrestling, like Thursday. Let's try that one more time. Hit the bell so you know that we have gone live, or when the newest video is up. So we're not succinct there, Marky, but we're gonna get there.
That's all right. I like ringing the bell. I just do it, and as long as I hear a bell, we're good. Don't worry about it.
Ref Marky, final word is yours.
Oh, outstanding action. Bierstadt, what a great place. What an awesome crowd that was there. I'm telling you, man, that's the place to be. RMP is the place to be right now. This summer has been so hot. We're past NRW. We're going to Shocktober. We got Ignition on Thursday night. Don't forget, there was that big reset gauntlet match that happened the other night. Brumac with a whole lot of momentum carrying over on Thursday nights. Be here Thursday night. Be here.
For sure. For my buddy, the referee, the mass hole himself, Marky Pins, I am the evil genius of professional wrestling, Titus Machiavelli. Want to say thank you guys. See you guys on Thursday.